Welcome, my friends. My name is Tommy Zee. I'm so glad that you decided to join this workshop. I believe that this simple step could make a big difference in your life and work. I don't want to waste your time. Let's make the time count. Let's dive in right away. Folks, question: why are so many people today tired and uninspired? Why are they working hard? Why are you working hard? Maybe you've even reached some success and yet you don't feel fulfilled. Folks, I wonder if maybe it's because we are too busy chasing this world. Now, what do I mean by this? Guess what, folks? The world rarely makes the kind of promises it can actually deliver. I've heard it said that nothing fails like success. And the best proof of this is to look at many of the successful and famous folks. Why are so many lives of successful people not only unfulfilling, but they're full of sadness, full of drama, full of depression, even suicide? Now, folks, I believe human beings are made to want to live life to the fullest, so we can experience true joy, peace, and fulfillment. And we want the real thing, not just some substitute, not just some artificial sweetener. And yet, we think it is success that's going to get us there. And where do we get our idea of success? We get it from the world, from our favorite influencer. So we end up chasing somebody else's idea of success. And we start climbing the ladder, working hard, trying to achieve that success. And wonder why at the end of the day, instead of feeling inspired, we're feeling expired. And that's a great simple test right there, my friends. A question to ask yourself as you take your pulse today. Sure, your heart might be beating, but is your success, is your path, is your place in life inspiring you or expiring you? Please pay attention now, because this really is a matter of life and death. Here's why so many people today are lost, unclear on their path, or unfulfilled in their life. This is a submarine. A submarine is a vessel submerged underwater. And everyone knows it's got a periscope on top that can see things above the surface of the water. No one in their right mind would suggest that it is the periscope that steers the submarine, right? And yet this is how we spend most of our lives. We live according to the periscope. We steer our life according to our senses. And the engine of our life, our emotions, combined with our senses, has our vessel running all over the place, dashing toward whatever pops up on the periscope. It could be a pop-up, a notification, a promise, a shiny new object over here, a beautiful siren over there. How many of you are feeling right now as if you went out to the world to search for happiness, for joy, for peace, for fulfillment? But instead, the harder you work, the more you achieve. This peace, this happiness, this fulfillment always seem to elude you. Now, this, my friends, is how my story started. In search of success, happiness, fulfillment, I thought the best idea is just to follow the promises and the path of the world. I ended up as a banker on Toronto's Bay Street with a fancy business card, fancy executive title, fancy cubicle on the 37th floor of the TD Tower, and fancy Chinese lunches with my coworkers. What I didn't realize at the time is I was operating under the default settings of reality and whatever it presented to me. What are those default settings? Go to school, get a diploma, get a safe job, hold on to that job, and maybe in 25 years, they'll reward you for your sacrifice and your service by giving you a pen with your name engraved on it. So I tried my best to get that pen. I got a few promotions, I got a few salary raises, and I don't know if you've heard, but they say that the two most addictive substances in the world are heroin and a salary raise. And this is how I felt, my friends. After the high of getting the weekly salary, soon follows the hangover and the feeling of restlessness, anxiety, frustration, fatigue, certainly not fulfillment. And I didn't know what the answer to my trouble was at the time. But all I knew was I didn't want to spend this one and only precious life in this ugly green cubicle. So how did I deal with this existential despair? I bought myself a BMW. I figured, I'm working hard at a job I don't even like. I don't have passion for this job. At least I'll have passion after work. This will be my reward for my sacrifice. My sacrifice of sitting in this goddamn cubicle all day. Friends, it only took a few weeks before I realized that the new car smell doesn't last forever. And as the new car smell faded, so did my delusion. The delusion that I could solve my inner pain and frustration of being in the wrong place with 4,000 pounds of steel and rubber engineered by the Germans. The pinnacle of German engineering. I suddenly realized that in the effort to ease my pain by purchasing a shiny new object, not only did I not ease the pain, but now I have actually bought my way BMW into having to keep the painful job so I can pay for the thing that's supposed to ease the pain of that job. It sounds kind of silly right now, but at the time, as I looked around, I realized that other smart people around me were parking their BMWs beside mine. And these smart folks had fancy diplomas from fancy schools. It seemed like we were in this together. But was this life enough for them? They didn't seem too overly enthusiastic about their path. Good morning, Bob.
Hello.
Anyway, I realized I cannot keep following the default settings of reality or smart people with diplomas. Everybody was playing this game, pretending as if nothing is wrong. And maybe for some of them, there was nothing wrong. But I knew for me, this was not the place or the path that was leading to true fulfillment. It was time for alone time. I started by saying no to Chinese food with my coworkers. I realized that this daily habit of hanging out with my coworkers, eating Chinese food, and complaining about how horrible corporate life is, and then saying things like,
well, it could be worse.
And then going back to our cubicles, this was a daily ritual that was cementing my identity as someone who has settled for the default settings of reality, as someone who doesn't even see a way out. And when you start to think about it, you quickly get overwhelmed. I don't even want to deal with this right now.
Let's go for some Chinese food.
Let's complain a little. It could be worse, right? Day after day, week after week, months turn into years. So as confused as I was, I had enough of a hunch to say, okay, stop this daily routine. Excuse yourself from lunch with your coworkers and spend your lunch hour alone. Walk away from the cubicle, go for a long walk outside. I remember my eyes would literally squint from the daylight, which I wasn't used to when I was sitting in my cubicle. But this daylight and this experience of being alone for the lunch hour, alone in the silence and stillness, at least for a slice of the day, already showed me that there is a world outside of the world that I've been living in. And you may not see it. You may not even be aware of it because you're spending so much time stuck in the default settings. For the first time, being alone for a few minutes, away from my daily circumstances, away from the environment, the people, showed me that not only is there a world that exists beyond the world that I was a part of, there is a world inside of me. And it's been trying to get my attention ever since I ended up on the path that wasn't meant for me. I was so busy in the external world that I wasn't even aware that there is a world within me waiting to be born. I realized that I tried in every way possible to satisfy my deepest desires with the promises and the prizes of the world, but that what I really wanted, the world could not give me. I realized that the first step to deeper fulfillment is to stop seeking it through the periscope, through our senses alone, and only out there in the external world. As I began to awaken from my sleepwalking, it suddenly made sense to me. Hello? It's not in the best interest of the world to have you figuring out your fulfillment, your path. I realized that the reason why I was tired and uninspired, even after rewarding myself with fancy things, is because when your life doesn't make sense, it's inevitable that you're going to run out of steam. And when time after time you keep running out of steam, chasing this world, guess what the world is going to offer you? A caffeinated energy drink. And if that's not enough, it'll say, hey, here's a BMW, guaranteed to fulfill forever. Right. By the way, I'm not saying don't buy a BMW. I'm just saying that happiness, peace, and fulfillment don't come with it. Because those are the things that you can only deliver to yourself. And the great news is, You can have them now. There is no need for you to run around out there looking for it. Friends, we'd be well to remember that stuff always costs more than just the sticker price. Whatever you pay for it is just the beginning. The real price is your time, your energy, your attention, which inevitably you're going to devote to the things that you bring into your life. So be very careful what or who you invite into your life. Be very careful in expecting that those things or people are going to answer the questions that belong for you to answer. Say it with me, folks. The world cannot give me what I long for most. This work belongs to me. In your quiet moments, which we're about to have together, ask yourself this: who is actually the author of my life? Who is actually steering this ship? Am I allowing the world to kidnap me through my senses? Am I steering my life, this one and only precious life, with this silly periscope? Is there a captain deep below, charting the course, calibrating the compass, defining the destination? Or are you on autopilot, sleepwalking through life, reacting to stimuli, chasing the world, instead of taking the time to tune in to your own signal, your own North Star, your unique story, the unique sense and meaning of your life? Have you ever taken the time to seriously ponder these questions away from the noise of the world? What or who am I willing to live or die for? What do I want to create that is uniquely mine to create? Who do I want to become? Here's the truth we cannot ignore, folks. The true source of your deepest longings, questions, dreams, desires, and fulfillment cannot be found with a periscope or a microscope out there. It is real, it is invisible, and it is within you. And people say, well, I don't believe in things I can't see. Well, you can't see this, you can't touch it, but you can certainly tune in, and trust me, if you take the trouble, you will hear it. Just as an aside, do you brush your teeth daily? The answer is probably yes. At least I hope so, for the sake of your teeth and those who are sitting beside you. And it makes sense, you care about your teeth, so you do the daily act of brushing. And you don't have to think too much about it. It doesn't matter if you're happy, unhappy, sad, or glad, you brush your teeth every single day. No brainer, right? And yet, when you ask people to spend some time alone in silence, to get away from the noise, to reconnect with themselves, they will say,
Who has time for that? I got things to do. Busy, busy, busy.
it's as if they cared more about their dental hygiene than the hygiene of their happiness. It's as if they were saying,
Hey, I don't have time to stop for gas
why?
because I gotta keep driving.
Well, that's a sure way to run out of gas and never get anywhere. Friends, so how do we get to the place we all want to get to? A place of our own, our unique path, where finally we will begin to connect with ourselves and with life in a way that will bring us a deeper joy, a deeper peace, and a deeper fulfillment. This is simply what worked for me, and we will do this life-changing exercise together in a few moments so you can leave here with a taste of what it feels like to be elevated, centered, calm, capable to take on the challenges of life without running out of steam. But before we do that, folks, a few words about me and a few words about how this method transformed my life and my work. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Tommy Zee. Nice to meet you. And I hope that by the time we are done here today, we will go from being strangers to being kindred spirits. This simple method that we're going to do today was simply born out of my frustration when I realized that worldly success would fail to satisfy my deepest thirst for true fulfillment. I went from working on default settings and whatever the reality presented me with to making my unique calling and the path to fulfillment crystal clear, so that instead of handing out this card, I could hand out the card that I cared about. The card with one simple, crisp, clear, and compelling statement of my mission, my path to fulfillment. Since leaving the corporate world to follow my creative calling, I have become an award-winning music producer and creative director working with the biggest brands in the world, producing over 1,000 campaigns on 3 different continents. And my company, Tommy Zee & Co., continues to create music for some of the world's biggest brands. But what's even more fulfilling is that today we run an academy that helps talented musicians all over the world to realize their dream of making a living with music at a time when it's difficult to do so. And it's the way that I've made my living with music. We teach them our life's work so they can spend this one and only precious life in their favorite place, which is their home studio, instead of working at a day job they have no passion for. But the most fulfilling project in my journey as a producer has been my family. To realize that at the end of a long day, I get to be home with the people who are closest to my heart is worth more than $1 trillion, which means I'm already wealthy beyond my wildest dreams. And no amount of money could be worth more than what I already have. And besides my family, the treasures in my life are a good book and a good coffee. And I try to spend as much of my life with the people and the few essential things that matter to me most. But let's come back to our work. The latest chapter in my professional life, which I feel called to, is to help humans and organizations to unlock their unique path to greatness. See, I believe that our life is a story. And this story is waiting for you to take over the steering wheel. You are the hero of this story. Every Hollywood scriptwriter knows that there are actually 2 stories, 2 journeys happening in our life. There is the outer journey, the things you go out and achieve in the world, your professional titles. And the reason why so many people lose their plot is because most of us put too much weight on the outer journey and they neglect the journey that matters most. Because what really matters most in the end is not what you become out there in the world, but what you become within. True fulfillment does not just come from worldly skills, but inner skills. The ability to recognize and reconnect with our inner calling and to choose our response to whatever happens out there without being on autopilot. The more we learn how to shift our weight from the outside to our inner world, the more we will become the awake and aware authors of our own life. And the more we can do that, the deeper the fulfillment, the lesser the frustration. Folks, it is the journey that is happening within you that will shape your outer journey. The inner will always become the outer. And it's not the periscope that's going to tell us where to go. There's a captain on board and we have a destination. What is our destination? Freedom to become who we are called to become. Not some cheap imitation of someone else, but to realize our own unique gifts in the service of the world. Because the best way to serve the world is to stop chasing the world. Now, if it was so easy, everybody would be doing it, right? But there seems to be a problem. And it was best described by the famous mathematician and philosopher Blaise Pascal, who said, all of humanity's problems stem from our inability to sit quietly and in a room alone. And folks, this is what we're about to do. It takes less than 14 minutes. You can do it for less, you can do it for longer. But if I told you that it only costs you 14 minutes a day and you'd get deeper clarity on your path to your unique fulfillment, that sounds like a no-brainer, doesn't it? Folks, this is as simple as brushing your teeth, but way more important. So pay attention and let's try to make this into a daily habit. We're about to set this analog timer. Analog, not digital. This is an infinite well of distraction. This is a beautiful technology, simple and does what it promises, without the pop-ups, without the notifications. So we're gonna set this timer for 7 minutes so we can sit in total stillness and tune in to our inner transmission. So we can receive the signal, emerge from our stillness, and then spill the contents of this transmission, whatever they may be, into an analog journal. Not tablet, not iPad, not digital devices. This is all a part of reconnecting with ourselves, touching things, smelling things. Some of us forgot how to be human. And why do we spill things? We spill things so we can make sense of them. Friends, You cannot sort what you cannot see. There's a world happening in your heart and behind your eyes that you cannot see. Ruminating thoughts, fears, ideas, speculations, all sorts of stuff that may be causing you anxiety, restlessness. The first step is silence. Second step is spilling. The third step is sorting. Now that it's in front of your eyes, we can underline, we can circle, we can figure out what's going on in our inner world. This is how we make sense of our lives. So, you ready? Let's do this. I'm going to set the timer for 7 minutes. Here we go. 7 minutes of silence. Just as I set the timer for 7 minutes, my phone goes off with a notification. You see, there are invisible forces trying to prevent you from connecting with yourself. Okay, 7 minutes. Put the phone on airplane mode. Get it away from you. It's time to rediscover who you are, reconnect with yourself. How can we have a meaningful relationship with ourselves unless we carve out a slice of silence in our everyday? I'm going to come closer here so you can hear me, and I'm going to guide you through this stillness. First thing you want to do is close your eyes. Take a deep breath. I want you to sit upright, but not stiff. I want you to be comfortable, but don't slouch. Don't sit like this. We are awake. We are aware. We are comfortable. I want you to just start by noticing your breath. No need for any guru breathing or anything crazy like that. Your body already knows how to breathe. Now we want to become aware of our breath. Coming in and out. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to scan your body slowly from head all the way down to our feet, firmly planted on the floor. Start at the top of your head and work your way down slowly. I want you to notice any tension you might be holding as you scan your way down. Many people hold tension behind their eyes. I want you to notice this tension, become aware of it. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, just release that tension. Work your way down to your jaw. Notice any tension you might have there. Your neck, your upper shoulders, your arms, your hands, your fingers, we are now reconnecting with our bodies. Work your way down through your chest, your upper back, your lower back, your abdomen. Notice any tension you might be holding there. And if you notice it, just release the tension with the out breath. Work your way down to your legs, your thighs, your calves, your feet. Feel your feet touching the ground. You are here. You are alive. You are aware. You are safe. There is nothing you have to do. Just sit in stillness, in awareness of all that is. Whatever arises outside, maybe the noise from the street, whatever arises, there is nothing to be done about it. You are aware. You are present. You are alive. Now, friends, when the timer goes off, I don't want you to jump back into reality. Sit with me for a few more moments. Just 2 more minutes. So I can share with you a very helpful exercise that helps me to get the most out of these kinds of sessions. Imagine that you're sitting on a riverbank. You're watching the river in front of you. Sometimes this river is calm. Sometimes it's a little restless. This river is your stream of consciousness. Sometimes you see this river carrying a leaf, maybe a broken branch, maybe some garbage that someone carelessly threw into that river. These things appear They float in front of you, and then they float away, carried away by the current of the river. These things floating in the river are your thoughts, sensations, memories, whatever arises in your consciousness. Now, friends, notice as they arise in your consciousness, they appear in your view, floating on this river. They float in front of you, and then they float away, carried away by the current of the river. The only thing I ask, try not to jump in the river. Clinging on to a thought or a rumination. As it carries you away with it. If you realize you jumped in the river and you're holding on to some thought, getting carried away by the current of the river, that's okay. The first step is to notice it, to become aware, and to gently let go whatever it is you are holding on to. Let it float away as you make your way back to the riverbank. You are alive. You are aware. You are fully present. Now, friends, if you'd like to stay in the stillness, watching the river, you can do so. You are free. If you choose to return to your day, to life in progress, slowly open your eyes. And again, my friends, let's not just jerk back into life. Allow yourself to become aware of the frequency that you're now operating on. I'm guessing for many of you, you will feel calmer, you will feel more centered, you will feel more aware, awake, but without the anxiety, just steady. You might feel like Neo in the Matrix when he starts looking around and seeing everything for what it really is. And then when bullets come at him, he's able to gracefully just sway out of the way. This is the frequency, my friends, that these moments of silence equip us with. This is our superpower that we all have. But it's a completely atrophied muscle in a lot of people, simply because they do not practice sitting still, becoming aware of all the stimuli outside and inside without necessarily having the need to react. You see, this is how building this muscle of freedom on your way to fulfillment, this is how it works. There is no other way, folks. Until we build this muscle of being able to sit in silent awareness of all that is outside and inside, there is no hope of being able to crystallize the path that is uniquely yours that will lead you to fulfillment. So what's the point of all of this? Now that we are on this frequency, we want to start charting our course, our path toward a deeper sense of our life, our fulfillment. You're not going to get to your path of fulfillment with the frantic frequency of the world. This is why we just did this. The next step is we're going to spill whatever it is that arose, whatever was trying to get your attention during your silence, coming from within. The first step, folks, is just to open an analog journal and start spilling onto the pages whatever came up, whatever stood out. And the beautiful thing about the analog journal is it doesn't force you, like digital apps do, to conform to its requirements, to its way of doing things. This, the analog piece of paper and pen, is a beautiful technology at a time when a lot of people are completely disconnected from themselves. This allows you to feel the pen in your hands. It allows you to feel your handwriting being completely unique to you. You want to handwrite something every day. Because if you don't, you're just going to become a font. So whatever you like to do, whether you like writing poetry, lyrics, you like writing paragraphs, whether you like sketching, just spill. Now, if you spilled everything there was to spill or nothing came up and you're not sure where to start, let me give you a couple of ideas. Write down in big letters, rare, on top of the page. I want you to list, number 1, your remarkabilities. That is any time in your life when you did something, when someone else remarked upon your ability, saying, I've never seen anyone do this the way you do it. Or, boy, you have a real talent for these things, don't you? Anytime you've been caught doing something really well, it doesn't matter how far back you go. In fact, I encourage you to go back to your childhood and all the way through to the present day. What are the abilities that are unique to you that others remark on when they catch you doing something really well? Secondly, I want you to write down your aspirations. Who are your heroes? Who do you want to become? If you could have a choice, what qualities would you have? What character would you have? And now, thirdly, I want you to think about your roles in reality. Now we're going from the domain of our memory and our aspiration, imagination, to the reality of our everyday. Folks, I believe that reality is always trying to tell us something. There are people, things, and activities that are already present in your life that point to your unique path toward fulfillment. Sometimes we're so busy chasing other people's dreams that we neglect what is right under our nose. A place, a person, or a project that has been calling out to us as a unique expression of our unique ability. This is the time, folks, when you're awake and aware. To take stock of your life and all the people, places, things, projects in your life. And to see maybe there's something or someone trying to get your attention for some time now. And this will be the first time that you actually notice it. Why? Because you just muted the world and you got in tune with yourself. And lastly, my friends, what are the things or the people or the ideas or tasks or projects that elevate you? Now, I used to say, what gives you energy? But I've realized that not everything that gives you energy in life is actually good for you. Sometimes there are people and there are things that give us temporary energy, but sometimes they lead us to the wrong place. Sometimes it's the kind of energy that you feel a hangover after. So now I say, what elevates you? What people, what projects, what ideas, what activities actually nourish you? They build you up. They elevate you. You can't wait to do those things, to connect with those people, because every time you spend time with them, you always feel elevated. Another exercise that you might try when you emerge from your stillness is to imagine, now who would be at your funeral? This reflects all the people in your life that you care about. And more importantly, what would they say about you? What kind of legacy are you going to leave behind according to all the people that you spent your life with? And the final spilling, sorting exercise that you might try is something that I came up with, which is, if I got hit by a streetcar today and I knew my time was up, what would immediately come to my mind as I was breathing my last breaths? Folks, I know this sounds a little strong, intense, but the inevitable truth is that death is certain. We don't know when it's going to happen. It could happen any moment, any day. Let's not run from this truth. Let us face it head on. And what I love about this exercise is when you actually imagine your last moments on this earth, your conscience will communicate to you with a decent degree of accuracy. What are the things that you care about most? What are the things that you're thinking about as you're about to depart? To give you an idea about my things, I know if I got hit by a streetcar today, I would ask 3 questions. What about my family? Are they going to be okay without me? Have I left a mess for them to clean up? And that gives me an immediate clue of what I need to take care of right now so I don't leave a mess. Number 2, did I live a life that was truly mine? Did I do my best to discover my unique call? Not to chase the world frantically, not to live superficially, but to live deeply, through joy, through sadness, through a fullness of experience every day. Because I know if I didn't, departing this earth knowing that time is up and I don't get another chance, these last few moments would be very restless and uncomfortable. So instead, I don't want to delay living. I don't want to delay doing the things that matter to me most. And thirdly, I would wonder, all right, so this is it. What's next? Did I take the time during my life to consider the prospect of what happens after we die? Did I study? Did I investigate? Did I take this subject seriously? Because I'm about to find out whether there is eternal life. There could be, maybe there isn't. But what if there is? Am I ready for it? I didn't see the streetcar coming. I didn't see this moment coming. And now it's too late to do anything about it. As I am about to breathe my last breath and find out what's on the other side of the door. And maybe if I prepared myself in advance, I would leave this planet in peace. That I don't know what's on the other side. But I did my best to live a life as if there will be eternal consequences. And that, my friends, is my answer to that particular exercise. Now, lastly, folks, this is one very important principle to help you avoid the mistake that many people make that will sabotage your chances of reaching true fulfillment. So pay attention. This is very important. This process is not about seeking self-gratification. This is not about you chasing your own tail. This is about tuning into yourself to discover something or someone beyond yourself that you can serve with your unique gifts. If you've ever been at the orchestra, you will hear musicians tuning their instruments before the performance. Every instrument is different and every instrument has its own sound. But the musicians don't tune their instruments according to their whims or wishes. They tune according to an objective scale, an objective standard. They tune to a truth that transcends them all. A truth beyond them that will bring to life their unique gift in a way that will harmonize with the rest of the orchestra so that the world can hear a beautiful and harmonious symphony. The only path to a life of true fulfillment is not to serve your own whims and wishes, not to chase your own tail, but to serve a truth that transcends you. And here's my promise to you. If you do this, suddenly your life will be full of what seems like coincidences, but they aren't coincidences at all. People, events, doors opening, things happening. It will be as if your path is unfolding naturally. You won't have to force anything like you did in your previous life. These will be signs. Signs that you have finally unlocked your path. A path that belongs to you and you only. And it's the only path possible to a life of true joy, true peace, and true fulfillment. Now, folks, our time today was just the tip of the journey. My goal was to teach you how to tune into your own inner transmission and unlock a deeper level of fulfillment in your life with a simple 3S method that takes less than 14 minutes a day. I want you to continue this practice daily, just like brushing your teeth, for the next 30 days. The goal here is to crystallize your unique calling, the vision for the next chapter of your life, a chapter which will be unlike any other chapters in your life and in your work. And once you're able to crystallize this vision, the next step will be to make it come alive in your everyday. And that's when another set of doors are going to open for you. And these doors are going to open onto a program that is the culmination of my life study. It's called This Day Forward. It's a 90-day transformational life design and accountability program for powerful breakthroughs in every important area of your life. It's very close to my heart. And you know why? Because this is a program that I personally developed for me after trying every other program for personal change and growth. And folks, I know it works because I'm still using it in my own life and it's working miracles. I needed something in my life that was simple, practical, something that is flexible, meaning I don't need this or that app, or I need to stick to some kind of a complex system. And I wanted something that isn't based on the latest trends, but instead it's rooted in timeless principles, truths that have stood the test of time. Now we're putting the finishing touches on this program and the doors will open in a few weeks. We're not going to take everyone on this expedition, only those who are committed to doing the work to crystallize their path and to actually bring it into their everyday life. We don't want those who are just curious. We only want those who are committed. If you're interested, go to thisdayforward.co to sign up on the waiting list so you can be the first to know when the doors open. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the time we spent together today. Don't forget to schedule 14 minutes into your everyday to do the 3S method. Don't forget to brush your teeth. Sending you a big hug. Wishing you an amazing day. See you soon.